Hello, welcome back to the Breaking News Update. My name is Jimmy Boyd, and you are watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm back with another update coming out from the war between Russia and Ukraine, and I've got a ton of big news that I'd like to share with all of you today. So, we're going to start today's update off talking about massive UAV drone attacks inside of Russia last night. Take a look at your screen here. Ukraine targets Moscow and other regions, disrupting parade plans. A Ukrainian drone barrage forced Russia to close a dozen airports deep behind the front line on Tuesday, just days before foreign leaders gather in Moscow for a major Victory Day parade. So, this is video footage actually coming out from today. During the daytime, we still had drones entering into Russia targeting Moscow, and it looks like Ukraine is trying to do everything they can to disrupt the parade that is coming up here on May 9th inside of Russia, the Victory Day parade. And I'm sure Russia is going to try to declare some sort of victory over Ukraine. So I think Ukraine's trying to put pressure on that parade as much as possible to prevent Vladimir Putin from making it appear as if Russia is winning. So we're going to talk about all these drone attacks inside of Russia last night. I've got lots of video footage coming out from multiple regions. I think more than 15 regions were being targeted. And I'll show you guys the map here in just a minute. It shows the trajectory of all these drones. Definitely a lot of drones going into Russia last night. Also, we had right around 130 Russian drones that were attacking Ukraine last night. Odessa was getting hit pretty hard. I've got some video footage coming out there of explosions inside of Ukraine. That's in southwestern Ukraine. And also some very big news today. We have a prisoner swap that has taken place between Ukraine and Russia. That is a 205 for 205 swap. So we have 205 Ukrainian soldiers that have returned home today. I've got pictures and videos coming out on that, and numerous other things I want to cover for you guys in today's update. Let's go ahead and hop into this. We're going to jump on over here to X with Max24. And it says massive UAVs attack on Russia. Map from Drone Bomber. Okay, so this is Drone Bomber on Telegram. Typically shows these maps that indicate the trajectory of all these UAV drones going into Russia. I mean, look at that, guys. That's a lot of drones entering into Russia. And if you notice, lately what we've been seeing is Crimea being attacked down here, Krasnodar Krai, sometimes Rostov Oblast. But majority of these were heading up northeast into Russia, and a lot of them heading towards Moscow, from what we understand. And I believe Ukraine also made history today. They had a drone enter as far as 2,500 kilometers into Russian territory. We'll go over that report here in just a minute. Now for Max24, it says UAV danger. We've got a list of all these different regions here. Look at this. Bryansk, Belgorod, Kursk, Voronezh, Rostov, Kaluga, Smolensk, Volgograd, Astrakhan region, Moscow, Ryazan, Tambov, Samara, Saratov region, and Tula region, guys. So lots of different regions being attacked last night, and I've got videos I can show you guys of drones entering in multiple areas. Here's a report from Null Reports. During the night, multiple UAVs targeted sites across Russia, airports in Moscow, Volgograd, Kaluga, Samara, Tatarstan, Nizhny Novgorod, Yaroslav, and Ivanovo temporarily suspended operations. Moscow authorities reported 19 drones were shot down with debris damaging a residential building. The Ministry of Defense later claimed 105 UAVs were intercepted. So again, guys, over 100 UAVs that the Ministry of Defense in Russia is claiming that they are taking down. So if 105 are being shot down, imagine how many were actually going into Russia last night. Maybe more than 200 or 300. I wouldn't be surprised. So let's go ahead and take a look at this video, guys. About 24 seconds long, coming out of Russia last night.
Из-за фонаря не видно нифига. Вот он, блядь, вниз-то летит, слышишь? Да, да.
All right, so not much we can see visually in this video, but we can hear that drone incoming over this person's head who is recording. So definitely we did have drones entering into Russia last night that were not shot down clearly from what we can see in that video. Now moving on to another one from LX Summer 1. Moscow region, Russia situation, village of Piktino, if I'm saying that right. We've got a video here also. You're going to see an explosion in this video inside the Moscow region. 18 seconds, take a look.
Летит. Ебать. Блядь. Охуеть. Охуеть. У меня все дрожит. У меня все дрожит, пиздец. Летит.
All right, so it looks like what we're witnessing here is possibly a direct strike from a Ukrainian drone, maybe a drone being shot down. It's kind of hard to tell at the angle that this person is recording, but nonetheless, a massive explosion over here in the Moscow region due to Ukrainian drone making it right in over there. Now from Alex Summer 1 again, Voronezh region, Russia. Residents report a fire in Podkletnoy, if I'm saying that right. Presumably the field is burning. There is no official confirmation yet. So in the Voronezh region here, okay, we had a fire that broke out. Is this possibly due to Ukrainian drones? It could be. Maybe they were shot down and started fires in some of the fields. This is something that we actually see a lot inside of the Voronezh region. As a lot of times when we have drones entering Ukraine, soon after we have video footage coming out like this, showing fires breaking out in fields. So I'm thinking maybe that's what happened here, or it could be a Russian interceptor air defense missiles that maybe malfunction, crash in the fields, starting fires. So that was video coming out from the Voronezh region. Now from Noel reports, as Budanov said, deeper and deeper, over 2,500 kilometers, Russia launches Koivor airport safety protocol activated when an unidentified object is detected in the sky. Plan at Nadim Airport, Yamalo-Nenets Autonomous District. After drones reached deep into to its territory last night, Russian sources claim 26 UAVs were intercepted. Isn't that crazy? So 26 UAVs intercepted 2,500 kilometers deep into Russian territory. Show you guys a map here in just a minute. Take a look at this.
Слышите? Ебать нахуй. Это пизда. Слышите?
Okay, so again, can't see much here in this video, but we can hear a massive explosion there in the background, possibly indicating a Ukrainian drone directly striking its target. And 2,500 kilometers, guys, that is very deep into Russian territory. Check out this map that we have for you guys here with Michael McKay. Ukrainian drones broke a new distance record last night. The airport in Nadim introduced temporary restrictions due to an immediate aerial threat. Nadim is in Yamalo-Nenets Autonomous Okrug in Russian Federation and is about 2,900 kilometers away from Kiev. Okay, so take a look at this, how deep inside of Russia these drones were entering. And as far as I know, that's the deepest Ukraine has ever attacked. I've never heard of them hitting 2,500 to 2,900 kilometers inside of Russian territory. So that is very, very far in. And this map just kind of indicating where this area was attacked. It's going to be right up here in the northern side of Russia. So pretty crazy that drones were able to make it that far in. And if you notice, as time has gone on, they've gone deeper and deeper into inside of Russia. And eventually they might be able to get past the midway point, maybe further, and attack Russian bases even further behind the front lines. Now from Alex Summer 1 again, Lipetsk region, Russia. Sirens are howling. The city has declared a red UAV attack level. So we've got videos here. You're just going to hear a siren in the background. It's pretty much what we're going to see from this. But Lipetsk region under aerial attack by UAVs last night as well. All right, we'll go ahead and stop it there. So it looks like a lot of Russians were not getting sleep last night as these sirens were blaring all throughout the night as more than 100 drones were entering into Russian territory. Let's move on to another update now from Noel reports. In an attempt to counter Ukrainian drones, Russian air defense missiles crash into residential buildings in Podolsk, Moscow region. Okay, so this is up in the Moscow region. Take a look at this, guys. We've got Russian air defense missiles that were crashing into residential buildings. Imagine that, just coming outside and seeing one of these missiles just sitting inside of the side of a building here. Absolutely scary, and good thing it did not detonate and destroy that whole apartment right there where somebody was actually living. So pretty crazy to see this. This is something that we have seen before, and I just talked about this, I think, yesterday, the day before. We had like a video that was coming out from inside of Russia where we had like a high-rise building supposedly being struck by a drone, but you couldn't see the drone or anything. And I was telling you guys that maybe it was some sort of Panzer S-1 air defense interceptor. So it looks like this could be the case right here again. All right, now from Anton Gerashenko, Russian Telegram channels report a huge fire in Kamensk-Uralsky. In Sverdlovsk region of Russia, metal powder production workshop is burning. The fire has already spread to 1,300 square meters. So allegedly, we had some sort of fire here on a metal production workshop. I'm not sure if this is related to Russia's military. I mean, what we have seen in the past is Russia does use a lot of civilian type production plants as to store military equipment. So maybe this could be the case here. Is it sabotage? We don't really know just yet. If I get further details on this, I'll let you guys know. But nonetheless, a massive warehouse burning down over here. 1,300 square meters already burned down. Now for NOAA reports, a drone hit Kharkiv's Barabashovo market, one of the biggest in Ukraine and Europe, Mayor Terekov said. Parts of the market caught fire. The city was hit 20 times overnight. 4 people were injured. So this was due to drone attacks coming from the Russians last night inside of Kharkiv. Once again, getting hit very hard. Over 20 attacks inside of Kharkiv recorded. And this massive market, one of the largest inside of Europe and Ukraine, completely destroyed due to Russian drone attacks. Okay, and I have video footage of a direct strike here as well from Jurgen Nodit. The moment a Russian drone hit one of Eastern Europe's largest markets, Barabashovo in Kharkiv. There's no military there, no NATO headquarters, only civilians, but Russia can do whatever it wants thanks to the weakness and failure of the EU. So this is a pretty insane video, guys. You're going to see this Shahed drone completely crashing into this market and exploding. Take a look at this. All right, probably one of the most insane and up-close videos we have seen coming out from Kharkiv before, with this Russian Shahed drone directly smashing into this market, okay? So huge fireball we can see there as well. Probably had a thermobaric warhead attached to that with the size of that fireball that came soon after it. So pretty scary video there, and very unfortunate that this major market was destroyed and hit last night. Now from Savchenko Volodymyr, the moment of Shahed strike on a private house in Odessa. So even down in Odessa, we had some attacks taking place over there from the same types of drones, what you just saw in that video previously. Go ahead and take a look at this real quick. Okay, so very sad to see this coming out repeatedly from Odessa pretty much every other day. At least 3 to 4 times a week we report drone attacks over here. So it looks like we had another direct impact from a Russian Shahed drone striking in the city center of Odessa. Can't really see exactly what was hit there, but something definitely got hit, and a massive fireball soon after. And I'm pretty sure, again, that is a thermobaric warhead attached to that Shahed drone, okay? So moving on to another update now from Bliskovka. Today, Ukraine returned 205 soldiers, President Zelensky confirmed. The defenders of Mariupol and the defenders of the entire front line returned home, young boys and adult men from almost all types and branches of the military. They were scattered across many Russian regions, imprisoned by the prison system with a single task: to humiliate and destroy humanity, the president noted. So statement coming out from Zelensky here in regards to 205 Ukrainian soldiers being returned back home today. So these were just some of the pictures of them. So very good to see that. A lot of these defenders are returning back to their families and probably very happy to be alive after being imprisoned inside of Russia. Here's a video now from Savchenko Volodymyr. I'm home, I'm home. The boundless joy in the voice of a defender who has just returned to his homeland. So I've got a 48-second clip as well showing these Ukrainian soldiers returning back to their mainland. Take a look at this.
Я вдома, я вдома! Руся! На курорті був.
Right, so always wonderful to see this. So it looks like we had a successful swap, 205 Ukrainian prisoners for 205 Russian prisoners. And this is due to all these pictures and videos that we see coming out all the time that I show you guys of Russian soldiers being captured, especially up in the Kursk region. That allows Ukraine to do these prisoner swaps with Russia. So very awesome to see that today. Let's move on to another update now from Max 24. 300 enemy boats spotted in Kherson region. Russia is preparing a landing operation, said an officer of the diving detachment NGU Omega. The goal of the Russian Federation is control over the Kherson and Mykolaiv regions. Okay, so this is something that we're hearing again. We've heard this many times that the Russians are preparing for an amphibious landing assault onto Kherson. Okay, coming from over the river. I think it's the Dnipro River that divides the territory inside the Kherson region, where Ukraine controls and where Russia controls. This is in southwestern Ukraine, and we've been hearing this for a while now that the Russians were going to launch some sort of attack with boats. So 300 enemy boats apparently being spotted. We might be hearing more about this here soon if the Russians try to launch an attack. But what we have been seeing for the most part down here in the Kherson region over the last couple of months is that Ukraine is thwarting basically any attacks that Russia makes to try to cross the river, okay? So now moving on to no reports. According to Russian channels, Ukrainian forces control a small part of southwestern Tetkino on the Kursk border. Active fighting is also reported near Novi Put and Volfino. So there's kind of a little map here showing that on a post on Telegram of the territory that Ukraine is currently controlling inside the Kursk region. I let you guys know yesterday they launched a new offensive over here. Here's the city of Tetkino right here that has been attacked before by the Ukrainians, but apparently they're controlling a small sliver of land right just a little bit southwest of Tetkino. Okay, so that's what we have for you guys right now. Looks like Ukraine is starting to make their way in, and they've set up some operations over there, but nothing super significant yet. Let's wait another day or so, see if we hear more that Ukraine is able to make a major breakthrough. As yesterday, all we really heard was that Ukraine was just starting to cross over the border after some mine-clearing vehicles had cleared a path through the border after destroying mines and also Dragon's Teeth from the Russians. Okay, so there's an update out of Kursk. Here's another one from Ozen Intuit. Russian emergency services in the Kursk Oblast have ordered the evacuation of Glushkovo due to a complicated situation. AFU control of the town would mean that Tetkino and western part of the Glushkovki district are lost. Okay, so that's interesting that the town of Glushkovo is being evacuated now. Now, I can't remember if this town was evacuated last time when Ukraine was heavily attacking this area. But apparently they're attacking over here near Volfino and also Novi Put. So these areas are being contested right now. But the area we just talked about over here was near Tetkino, right in the southwestern corner of the Kursk Oblast. Okay, so multiple areas being contested right now. And if the Russians are starting to evacuate this town, that's making me think that things are a lot worse over here than what we're being told. And maybe Ukraine is starting to make some major breakthroughs, and the Russians are expecting things to get pretty crazy, and maybe that's why they've got to evacuate this town and utilize it for military operations. So looks like we're going to be hearing more about the Kursk Oblast here very soon. Now from NOLA reports, on the night of May 2nd, a HIMARS strike hit a concentration of Russian troops from the 70th Motorized Rifle Regiment, 42nd Division near Mern, Zaporizhzhia region. 22 soldiers were killed, including 3 officers. Okay, so looks like we had a massive HIMARS strike here. 22 soldiers taken out and 3 officers on the Russian side. Okay, massive attack over here reported in the Zaporizhzhia region. This is going to be in southern Ukraine. And this happened just about 4 days ago, on May 2nd. Now for military news UA, the Ukrainian Defense Forces managed to stabilize the situation in the Pokrovsky direction and in some places seize the tactical initiative. Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Syrsky, reported today. Okay, so Alexander Syrsky stating that apparently the situation is stabilized around Pokrovsk, and we have been seeing that. Okay, this is nothing new. With these blue areas right here indicate some counterattacks from the Ukrainians. So this is the city of Pokrovsk right here, the major transport and rail hub city in the Donetsk region. And Ukraine has been doing a really good job of holding on to this city recently. Russia has not been making any gains over here at all. If anything, they've just been getting destroyed left and right when they launch a lot of mechanized assaults. We've had lots of video footage coming out recently showing many of these assaults being destroyed by Ukrainian forces. Okay, so looks like things are stable inside of the Pokrovsk direction in the Donetsk region at this time. Now for Max 24, the ceasefire on the holidays before Victory Day is relevant. Putin gave orders for a ceasefire, says Dmitry Peskov. So Peskov is the Kremlin spokesman out of Russia, And apparently, they're still trying to hold up this ceasefire. Okay, at least they're trying to put forward their own initiation on holding a ceasefire with Ukraine during the Victory Day parade, but we already know Ukraine has come out and said that we're not going to agree to that. We want a 30-day ceasefire, not a 3-day ceasefire. So I'm curious to see how Russia's going to respond to this. What's going to happen during this parade? Are they actually going to hold their fire against the Ukrainians? I'm thinking most likely not. Maybe things will kind of calm down. But again, Ukraine has not agreed to it. So I would think Ukraine should probably take advantage of that situation if the Russians do stand down in any way. We might even see a counterattack coming from Ukraine very soon to disrupt the Victory Day parade even further. Now, for Max 24, 80 years after the Second World War, polling shows many Americans and Western Europeans believe an even more devastating third global conflict could break out within a decade, with tensions with Russia seen as the most probable cause, according to The Guardian. So here's a little graph kind of showing, or chart, excuse me, showing the numbers here of how people believe that there will be a major world war at some point in the future, and it could be possibly started by Russia. Now, I mean, that's something I've been reporting to you guys for a very long time. I literally just gave you guys an update yesterday talking about the UK. I mean, they're massively preparing for war with Russia. We know the Baltic nations are doing that right now. They're mining up their border like crazy. Billions of dollars being spent in fortifications along the borders of Belarus and Russia right now with a lot of NATO nations. I mean, I think it's highly likely we could see a world war at some point with Russia and NATO at least. And then, just think about some of the other people like China and North Korea. There's just so many tensions around the world right now, Iran even. There could be definitely a massive war that could break out at any time. I think many people understand that. I think it's pretty obvious at this point, right? Now, for military news UA, Lithuania is considering launching the production of Ukrainian Magura marine drones under the one-for-one scheme. One for itself, one for Ukraine. Okay, so very big news coming out from Lithuania. We know Ukraine uses a lot of these Magura V5 drones. These are the same drones that shot down supposedly 2 Su-30 fighter aircraft on the Russian side just a few days ago in the Black Sea. And Lithuania wants to start producing these for themselves. And for every 2 they produce, they'll keep 1 for themselves and give 1 to Ukraine. So that's pretty huge. We know Ukraine uses a lot of these down in the Black Sea to attack Russia's naval bases down in Crimea. Now, from next, Poland says Russia is trying to interfere in its presidential election. Poland has reported unprecedented Russian interference in its upcoming presidential election, scheduled for May 18th. The country's Minister of Digital Affairs said that hybrid attacks are targeting water supply systems, power plants, and government institutions. According to him, the level of Russian cyber activity is twice as high as it was last year. So that's crazy, right? I mean, if their country's Minister of Digital Affairs is stating that Russia's launching all kinds of hybrid attacks onto Poland, disrupting their water supply, power plants, government institutions like that, why are they not responding to this? I mean, NATO is being very complacent with Russia, and if these things are actually happening and they have proof that Russia's doing this, why are they not responding in any way? But this is, continuous reports similar to this that we see coming out all the time that Russia is preparing to interfere with elections or disrupt, create sabotage events across Europe. Just more and more talk about this coming out every day. And it's kind of worrisome in some ways because at some point, could it spark a major world war? Or at least a war between NATO and Russia? Maybe it's possible at some point in the future, but I think it'll take something very major for that to happen. But looks like Poland is warning that Russia's trying to interfere with their presidential elections coming up. Now from Visioner, big news, Ukrainian forces have eliminated Colonel Abdulaziz, if I'm saying that right, Shikhabidov, commander of the Russian Armed Forces Elite 76 Guards Air Assault Division. Okay, so new report here today. Don't know exactly how this commander was eliminated, but apparently he was. There's some pictures coming out today. Maybe it was in one of these HIMARS strikes that took place down in the Zaporizhzhia region. We also had some strikes up in the Kursk region recently as well with HIMARS. So I'm thinking maybe the most likely it was one of those attacks, but not too much information on how far back this happened. This could have been weeks ago. Who really knows? But it is being reported today, and that's allegedly him right there in the photo. Now from Anton Gerashenko, Ramzan Kadyrov is asking for permission to leave his position, Russian media report. Talking to journalists, he commented on the rumors of resignation. I've heard these rumors too. They write all sorts of things. On the contrary, I am asking to be relieved of my post. The other will have their own initiatives, their own vision. I hope that my request will be supported. Either, as rumored, he does have health issues, or he is afraid to repeat the fate of Prigozhin, or it's just a show. We'll see soon enough. Yeah, so Ramzan Kadyrov, the leader of Chechnya, so he's been coming out recently over the last few days. We've been seeing some reports that maybe he's not too well, health wise, that he might be having some health issues, and he's looking to possibly stand down here very soon and resign as a leader. And I was hearing as well that he might try to have his son, 17 years old, take his place. So kind of crazy news. But we know he's very close with Vladimir Putin, and allegedly he's trying to ask to resign from Putin and get permission. So we'll see what happens with that. But these reports were just starting to break yesterday, actually. So now from Bliskovka, the SSU detained agents of the Russian MDI who spread hostile propaganda under the guise of opinions of Ukrainians and worked in Kiev, Khmelnytsky, and Dnipro. They were involved in the Ukraine is missing IPSO, fake videos with prisoners who were tortured to participate in the filming. The detainees also passed on coordinates for strikes and received orders to set fire to Ukrainian army vehicles. Their equipment, documents, and means of communication were seized. They face up to 8 years in prison. So more pictures and information coming out on this, where we've got more Russian agents inside Ukraine trying to carry out sabotage operations. In this case, spreading hostile propaganda under the guise of opinions of Ukrainians. Okay, so more reports of this, guys. This is probably several times a week, 3 to 4 times a week that we get these kind of reports. Looks like more Russian agents getting captured. So now from No Reports, Ukraine and NATO are looking for tech solutions to counter fiber optic drones. The Ukrainian Ministry of Defense says a NATO Innovation Challenge hackathon will be held on June 20th in Tallinn to find ways to detect, disrupt, and destroy them. Okay, so these fiber optic drones, we know that Ukraine and Russia are both using these. These are quadcopter FPV drones that have a fiber optic line attached to them that makes it much harder to be disrupted by electronic warfare. Definitely this is a cause for concern on Ukraine's side. I'm sure Russia's doing the same exact thing, trying to find a way to counter these and bring these things down and disrupt them. So it looks like NATO and Ukraine are actively working on some sort of solution to resolve that issue inside the war, okay? So now from next breaking, Friedrich Merz elected Chancellor of Germany on second attempt. He secured 325 parliamentary votes, surpassing the 316 needed for a majority. So this is very big news coming out from Germany today. The first time around, he actually failed to be elected. But then a few hours later, they held another vote, and he finally got passed with 325 votes, and only 316 were needed as a majority to have him elected. So he will become the new chancellor now of Germany. And remember, a big thing about Friedrich Merz is he's come out multiple times stating that he's very supportive of this war for Ukraine and supporting Ukraine, and he's willing to send Ukraine Taurus missiles. So let's see what happens with that. We could possibly be hearing over the next couple weeks him starting to talk about or discuss the transfer of these Taurus missiles over to Ukraine, which could help Ukraine out greatly. Okay, so very big news there. Now from the Ukrainian Review, the Russian oil price in rubles has hit a 2-year low, 40% below the budgeted level. Due to the drop in oil prices, Russian Finance Ministry has more than tripled its expected budget deficit this year to 1.7% of GDP, according to Reuters. Okay, guys, so Russian oil price just really falling off a cliff. I think today when I checked the crude Brent oil prices, I think we were sitting right around $59, but I think in Russia it trades a little bit lower than that. So, the more that oil prices continue to fall, and I'm expecting that they probably will continue falling over the next few weeks, this is going to make it harder for Russia to fight this war, okay? If they don't have funds when they're selling all their oil around the world, they can't possibly continue to fight this war. So I'm very curious to see how Russia's going to respond to that. They're going to be having to make some desperate maneuvers here in their economy, and we know also they're going to be hiking taxes for many of their citizens and businesses across Russia all at the same time, where many of these businesses are starting to collapse and on the verge of bankruptcy. So things are going to get very interesting inside of Russia over the next few months here as the economic fallout continues. Now from Bliskovka, Air Defense Forces of Ukraine shot down 54 out of 136 Russian UAVs. Another 70 imitator drones were lost in the area. One UAV is still in the air, and combat operations are ongoing. Kharkiv, Odessa, and Dnipropetrovsk regions suffered as a result of the enemy attack. Okay, so 136 drones going into Ukraine last night, 54 shot down, 70 also locally lost in the area, probably due to electronic warfare. Okay, so more than half or so most likely brought down is kind of what we've been seeing, but nonetheless, a lot of drones coming from Russia last night into Ukraine. Now, from the Kyiv Independent, these are the indicative estimates of Russia's combat losses as of May 6, according to the armed forces of Ukraine. All right, guys, in our final update of the day, Russia's losses as of May 6, 1,430 troops, 5 AFVs, 103 vehicles and fuel tanks, 3 tanks, 61 artillery systems, 145 UAVs, 1 MLRS, and 3 special equipment. All right, and once again, overall, across the board here, looking like pretty average numbers here. Troop numbers up a little bit higher, probably the highest we've seen in a little while now. Usually see around 1,100 or so on average over the last few days. So creeping up closer to 1,500. As far as vehicles and everything, not too much, okay? Tank numbers have been down a lot over this last week. We've been seeing less than 5 pretty much every day. Same with AFVs. Vehicles and fuel tanks sitting right around 100. We've been seeing about 100 to 130 on average. And artillery systems up a little bit higher. Usually it's been around 20 to 40 up to 61. So it looks like quite a bit of artillery systems were destroyed over the last 24 hours. But other than that, not too much equipment destroyed on the Russian side. And I think, again, a lot of this has to do with the Victory Day parade coming up. Russia's really just not launching as many attacks. If anything, they're probably more on the defensive right now. And they're going to be over the next few days. Ukraine continues to pummel them with drone attacks. And I'm sure we're going to have the same thing happening again tonight, all the way to the run-up of this parade. And the big question here is Ukraine going to attack the parade on May 9th? Maybe they will or they won't. And I think the Wall Street Journal today was reporting that it's highly unlikely. But you guys let me know what you think if Ukraine is going to go ahead and carry out some sort of attack onto the Moscow parade on the 9th. So that's going to be it for today's update, guys. I want to thank you so much for tuning in. If you got something out of this update, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. And with that, hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless. And we'll see you in the next one.